Isotopes and the mole. Isotopes and atomic weights. Hydrogen has three isotopes: protium, deuterium, and tritium. Protium is the most common isotope of hydrogen. Over 99% of all hydrogen in the world is the isotope protium. Protium has one proton and one electron and no neutrons. Deuterium has one proton, one electron, and one neutron. Tritium has one proton, one electron, and two neutrons. If it has one proton, it is the element hydrogen. Various elements have different masses due to the different numbers of protons and neutrons in the nucleus. However, when a chemical change occurs, the electrons of individual atoms or molecules interact. So what is the relationship between the mass of atoms in a molecule or compound and the number of atoms of each element as indicated by the subscript? The average mass of a hydrogen atom, H, has been measured to be 1.67 times 10 to the minus 24 grams. The average mass of a carbon atom, C, has been measured to be 1.944 times 10 to the minus 23 grams. Why is there a difference in the mass of an atom of hydrogen and an atom of carbon? The different number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus results in a different mass for the average element of hydrogen and carbon. The mass of an atom is so small, a single gram of carbon contains 5 times 10 to the 22nd atoms. Rather than deal with such large numbers, chemists use a unit called a mole. Thus, subscripts of a compound are determined by moles. H2O represents water, which has 2 moles of hydrogen atoms and 1 mole of oxygen atoms. Avogadro's number, the mole. A mole, abbreviated MOL, is the number of carbon atoms equal to 12 grams of carbon, which is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. A mole of a molecule is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. Thus, just as a dozen is 12 objects, a mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd objects. A mole of lithium atoms has 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms, and the mass is 6.94 grams. A mole of chromium atoms is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. The mass of a mole of chromium atoms is 52.00 grams. A mole of uranium atoms is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. The mass of a mole of uranium atoms is 238.0 grams. Avogadro's number, the mole. The mass of 1 mole of an element is the mass number of the element on the periodic table. Let's look at 3 gases: argon, which is a noble gas, oxygen, and nitrogen. Note that oxygen and nitrogen in nature have a subscript 2. The volume is the same, the number of moles is the same, the pressure is the same at the same temperature. But notice the mass is different, and the mass is different because of the different number of neutrons and protons in the nucleus of the different elements.